Welcome into All Texas Football. This episode brought to you by Bingham's Bourbon, created by Grammy and Oscar-winning artist Brian Brigham. Bingham's Bourbon, proof that Texas makes a damn good bourbon. All right, Rod and CJ, we learned some things this past weekend. As we get into the breakdown this weekend, Texas plays San Jose State. Game starts at 11 a.m. Central. It's going to be hot. There's no doubt about it. But I figured we'd break this episode into a couple of different parts. First of all, what do we want to see from Texas in this matchup with San Jose State? And then second of all, what do we expect to see from San Jose State? We know they may not be as talented as Texas, but there's still some things that people can look for. And then finally, I want to go over what our predictions or projections are for this game. Rod, I want to start with you on what we want to see from Texas. And I think we all know that the elephant in the room is the quarterback play at the University of Texas. So what do you want to see from Arch Manning on Saturday?
That's good. I actually want to see Arch closer to what he was in the fourth quarter versus Ohio State. He looked great in that fourth quarter. I think Pro Football Focus had him with a 91 passing grade in the fourth quarter, 43 passing grade in the first three quarters. But in that first three quarters, though, I just didn't feel like he was in a rhythm. I didn't feel like he was in a groove at all. And I think, a little bit of that is on Sark, but he was missing some throws. The mechanics were all off. Fundamentally, he was flawed. So I'd like to see him clean up some of the mechanics, right? Him throwing off balance, overstriding a bit. It just seemed like at times the footwork was misaligned with the upper body. You can't fix that stuff in, 1 week. You ain't going to fix it probably during the season, but you can improve on it. I like to see improvements there and like to see him get in a rhythm. So Sark getting him some easy throws, right? Sark calls them opportunity throws. Opportunities for an easy completion. I'd like to see screen game early on. I'd like to see the quick game early on. I saw that tweet that you read, Bobby, with Kurt Warner talking about, hey, they need more quick game, man. Get them into a groove, get them into a rhythm. I'd like to see more of that. I'd also, like to see ultimately, Sark said it, I want to get him running the ball a little bit earlier on in the game just to get him confident, kind of get him into the rhythm of the game. So those are some of the things just early on. Let's try to see if we can get him into a groove and on schedule, because he really wasn't on schedule very often in that game. And that's what I'd like to see. So I think that's going to be Sark and, Arch working together, trying to figure out what he's most comfortable with and what's most compatible with his skill set. I don't think Sark really figured that out until the fourth quarter. And that's not all on Sark, and it's mostly on Arch, but still, you still got to figure out what your quarterback is most comfortable at and how to get him in a groove early. He was great at that with Quinn. I think right now he's going to struggle a little bit trying to figure out that with Arch. This is the perfect game for it, by the way.
He's still searching with Arch, right?
Yes.
We all remember third-year Quinn. He's still searching with Arch. And I love that he's saying, hey, my quarterback needs a little blood in the mouth before he go. He needs to get popped. And then let's let his competitiveness come out. CJ, I know you did some data seeking on what Rod was talking about there as it relates to what type of routes and what type of dropbacks, et cetera, that Arch showed promise in and then had some issues with. Give fans a little bit of a taste of what you're talking about there.
Yeah, well, I think play action is a big part of it. That's going to be a staple of Sark's offense. And to your point, Rod, I'd like to see some of those early just free yards, as I call them. The Sark screen we didn't see until late in the fourth quarter when you're down 2 scores. We didn't see many reverses. We didn't see many, bubbles or missile screens. And playing a speed of a Ohio State defense, that's tough. But you should see more of that, especially early to get your guy, Arch Manning, in a rhythm. But more importantly, the speed of the game needs to slow down for Arch here. And I know that we're going to talk about the sail routes. We're going to talk about the flood concepts. We saw a lot of that, right? The smash concepts. We saw tons of that against Ohio State. And I do think Arch will complete those passes at a higher efficiency than Quinn. In fact, those corner routes were some of the worst throws Quinn had over the 3 years he was the quarterback at Texas. So did he come out too quickly out of the gate against Ohio State, against those quick corners and smart safeties? Perhaps. But the speed of the game is really where I'm looking at Arch saying, these next 3 weeks truly have to slow down if Texas wants to get to that level that we all believe that they're capable of. And I say that because play action, a big piece of what we saw week 1, under center, straight drop back turn to the defense. You turn around, you try to diagnose, and things get a little wobbly, right? Arch in play action passes 5 of 10, 26 yards, 2 turnover-worthy plays, and one of those obviously being the interception in which he was very late making a cross-field throw on. So the speed of the game for Arch has to be quicker for him. But more than that, I think after these next 3 weeks, he'll sit there and say, okay, things are slowed down tremendously for me. I understand. I'm seeing what I need to diagnose. And, of course, I'm in rhythm with my wide receiver, something that obviously he was not in week 1 with.
CJ, I got to ask this or talk about it a little bit because Rod mentioned it too. It's not just the speed of the game. It's like he has to find the appropriate speed, right? Sometimes he looked too fast. Sometimes he looks too slow. He's got to get his game legs, almost his sea legs there. But you mentioned some of those wide receivers and talking about wide receivers and what kind of routes they're looking at. And I asked Rod this, like what the elephant in the room was. Well, obviously it's Arch. But what are some of the other things that you're looking for and want to see out of Texas in the game on Saturday?
Yeah, it's some of those younger wide receivers. And I know that we've talked about this after Sark's press conference on Monday, but this is a big opportunity, right? I basically look at it as an audition. If you're Michael Terry, if you're Khalid Clockett, Jamie French, shoot, Aaron Butler should be the first in line for these conversations. And yet we heard from Sark that it's Ryan Niblett, who was wide receiver 5 after only 3 snaps from Dalen McCutcheon on Saturday. So look, it's wide open. And until Emmett Mosley gets back, Texas needs that continuity. They need those guys that are familiar with Arch and can grow that rapport because there's, quite frankly, none of that right now. It's a brand new landscape. And despite a handful of catches throughout the season a year ago and adding on to that on Saturday, it's a clean slate for everybody. So show me some of those younger guys because there are opportunities there and Texas needs some wiggle after the catch as well.
I think there are opportunities for young guys beyond just wide receiver, by the way. I mean, that's what the next 3 games really should be about, right? Look, Nick Townsend getting more opportunity, Christian Clark at running back getting more opportunity. What do we see out of maybe Lance Jackson and Justice Terry in situations? So I agree with you on receivers, somebody else needing to step up and proving they're worthy of Sark's trust. I mean, I think Rod coined it the circle of trust at wide receiver, and I completely agree with that. There are a couple that I think that I want to mention. First of all, I think we were all impressed with what Texas did with the offensive line in game 1, right? Yeah. I mean, all kind of agree they did pretty darn well, probably better than expected by some of us. I'd like to see continued growth there. But really, and this goes back to something that Sark said, and I want to get your take on it, Rod. This is the first game in 24 games Texas didn't create a turnover.
Yeah.
And takeaways, big plays on defense weren't there. No sacks, no takeaways against Ohio State. This is San Jose State. If they don't have a turnover at some point in this game, it would be a huge surprise, right? So talk about what you want to see from this defense in that regard with takeaways and sacks or just big plays in general.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have, and Sark even said this, right? They didn't have many of those opportunities, 3rd and longs, to actually generate negative plays or splash plays on defense or force turnovers. I mean, how about this? Ohio State only threw it 12 times in the last 39 minutes, guys. They made sure a lot of ball control, and so they were able to limit the really kind of the havoc rate for this Texas defense. But you're going up against now San Jose State. They want to throw it. I mean, they call it their offense a spread and shred. I just think they want to throw it 45, 50 times. So that's the perfect situation for a defense that needs sacks and that needs takeaways and turnovers. So they should be salivating. This is the perfect game to come next for them, considering that the defense, the only place I think they may have underachieved really overall is havoc plays and takeaways. So if they don't get some in San Jose State game, and I think San Jose State had 3 of them in their first matchup against Central Michigan. The quarterback has a lot of faith in his arm, by the way, Egat. He'll throw you a couple. So I expect Texas to get a couple of picks this game. I would be flabbergasted, shocked, stupefied if they don't get at least 2 turnovers in this game.
Arch needs blood in his mouth. The defense needs blood in the water.
Yeah,
That's what it feels like to me. All right, real quick, before we talk a little further about San Jose State and what they exactly bring to the table, I also want to say thank you to our sponsor. This episode brought to you by Bingham's Bourbon. Rod, tell us a little bit more about it.
Oh, yes. For years, folks, Ryan Bingham, the Grammy and Oscar award-winning artist, he turned down offers to just put his name on any bottle. He instead wanted a bourbon that he could be proud of, one that stayed true to his Texas roots, that's right, and where the music comes from. That's why he built Bingham's from the ground up, a Texas-certified whiskey, folks, made with 100% Texas-grown grains, distilled and aged in the searing Texas climate of a bold, unmistakable flavor. From the hands of local Texas farmers to the barrel to the glass, every drop is a tribute to the land, the craft, and the people who shape it. Bingham's Bourbon, proof that Texas makes a damn good bourbon, first and foremost, but also available now across the great state of Texas. You can find details at binghamspirits.com.
Thank you to Bingham's Bourbon for their sponsorship of On Texas Football. CJ, I want to go to you. You do a lot of stats work for us at On Texas Football, kind of digging deeper, as we like to say. Tell us some stats or some thoughts you have based on what your read of the stats and the San Jose State Spartans.
Yeah, I'm going to echo a lot of what Rod just said. You know, that San Jose State offense, they throw the ball a lot. In fact, the most of any team in the country a year ago. That's 43 pass attempts per game in 2024. They had 43 in week one. They only completed roughly about 50% of those. And to your point, Rod, a number of those were interceptions as well. 64% of their plays and their offensive snaps, pass plays. So that tells you they also like to snap the football a lot. You know, the game extends as a result of some incompletions, the clock stopping pretty often. One name you need to be aware of, and this is, again, I was a big fan of Nick Nash a year ago, some late night San Jose Spartan action on Saturdays. He was a runner-up in the Biletnikoff. This year, it's going to be Danny Scudero. 9 catches, 189 yards, 1 touchdown in week one. They are going to feed their beast. They have one per year. That's basically how their offense rolls, where it's just set up for one guy to eat everybody's food on the plate, on the table. It goes to one guy. And this year it's Danny Scudero. But, Rod, I'm with you. Multiple sacks, opportunity for plenty of interceptions. This should be a game in which Texas looks back after week 2 and says, okay, we're on track with our havoc plays.
Rod, does that mean that Texas is going to play like 10 DBs in this game? It's going to be hot as you know what out there on Saturday. And if they're going to be throwing it around like that, how many DBs, how do you even approach that as a DB? I mean, you played Mike Leach in Texas Tech back in the day when they threw it around like that. What's it like for DBs?
Oh man, these guys, they got, like I said, they got to be foaming at the mouth for this game. Because I expect now, you don't usually do it. I know they say the NASCAR package, right? With 3 edges on the field where you have coverage specialists and pass rush specialists on the field. They usually save that for third downs, third and longs. This is a game, honestly, you might be able to break out the NASCAR on second down. I mean, largely their running game is just symbolic. They're not really trying to run the ball, establish a run game. They just want to strike a little bit of balance. But for the most part, you know, they want to throw the football. And I bet on second down, especially if you can stop them on, they might try to throw it on first a lot too. You can get them hit second and long. This team is definitely going to throw the football. Yeah. So if I was Texas, I thought that NASCAR package a little earlier, not just on third downs. They see it on second down too, because you had 40+% of your sacks last year came out of the NASCAR. You only played it 16% of the time. Those are good numbers.
Yeah. If I can add to that real quick, Bobby, they don't throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage. I know you see some of these gimmicky offenses with the screens, with the bubbles, you know, where only one half of the field is moving. Yeah. That's not San Jose State. Only 5% of their passes a year ago ended up behind the line of scrimmage. 44% of their passes in between 0 and 9 yards, and then the other 40% split basically in half from 10 to 20 and 20 beyond. So they huck it, and there's a lot of quick game, which means, as we saw a year ago, if Texas is really aggressive with their corners, you can get in front of a screen or in front of a slant. You can get in front of those out routes or in breaking routes and come up with something, as Rod, we used to call it back in the day, a little jackpot action for some of these DBs.
I'm sitting on that slant, babe. I'm sitting on it.
This is interesting to me. I was unaware that they only threw behind the screen. Like Mike Leach made a living throwing behind the line of scrimmage and getting yards after the catch. What's interesting to me is I think about that in my mind. I'm picturing Texas literally having to, you know, be better and pass defense as a whole down the field. But I want to say this, and I didn't see it enough against Ohio State. Ohio State had a short passing game against Texas
Yes, they did.
Really, too. I didn't see enough hands up from the Texas defense.
That's good.
If they're going to run 0 to 9 yard routes, we need to see some defense with their hands up in the passing lanes. I think deflecting passes. So something to watch for. See if Texas tries to roll that out. I also want to mention this. This is my one note on San Jose State. I find it absolutely fascinating that Ken Matalolo is the head coach there. Okay, this is a guy that spent 10 plus years at Navy running the triple option. Now he's the head coach at San Jose State, and he throws it 50 times a game.
Yeah.
I mean, that is.
And interesting, Bobby, to that point, I've heard them talk about this. I guess Craig Stutzman is the OC. They basically say their offense is a hybrid. It's an amalgamation of the air raid, the run and shoot, and to your point, triple option. Like they say that's kind of what it is, all three of them in one. I'm like, that is a lot of concepts to throw together. But to CJ's point, the air raid did have a lot of high percentage passes. The run and shoot, they were taking it downtown.
Yep, they did that, and they did those wide receiver screens. That's what they really. I mean, the run and shoot started that and just killed it with that. All right, let's go to the breakdown now. Finally, where we think that where our predictions are for this game. Texas a 35+ point favorite. Guys, I have to say this. This is one that you hope as a Texas fan is a name your score game.
Yeah.
All right, CJ, is it, in your opinion, a name your score game?
Yeah, remember, I had this as one of the 350 burgers to begin the year. And I think Texas gets there. And again, I think this is one of those games where, is it a name your score for Texas fans, or is it a name your score for Steve Sarkisian? Because I think there's a lot of confidence that Texas is lacking right now on that offensive side of the ball. They need to go out there, and Sarkisian specifically needs to find that rhythm and that confidence in his quarterback to put up as many points as possible. I would hate to be San Jose State's defensive coordinator, anybody on that staff, because this is a game where Texas will come out firing, and they have to, right? They have to get that confidence going. They have to get Arch Manning in rhythm. I wrote down 52-7. That's the score that I'm rocking with. I do think that San Jose State finds the end zone in this game. They just throw the ball too often. If one breaks, hey, when you throw the ball 100 times, one or two is going to be one in which it comes up big for him.
I got you. Rod, what about you? CJ went 52-7.
Yeah, I like CJ's 50-something burger because the defense, they're going to be mad and angry because, they wanted to take away or a sack or more splash plays in the first game. And I think they'll get that because of the style of offense that they're playing. The question is about the 50 burger is, will Sark decide to run the football? Because San Jose State cannot stop the run. I mean, Central Michigan, I was shocked. Central Michigan ran for like 247 yards against them. Almost 5 yards a pop. They almost had 200-yard rushers. Texas, with a running game that traveled at Ohio State, 106-some yards, they probably can just run it down their throat. But the Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj, and Reno South Carolina, besides making the side, but you won't get enough drives to get to 50 unless you're scoring some non-offensive touchdowns. So I think CJ's right. I think Sark wants to get his quarterback in the groove. So you're going to see Arch have way more attempts than he would usually have in a game like this because that's the priority. The running game, I think Texas, they're fine and confident in their running game right now. What they're not confident is their passing game. That's what needs the infusion of confidence, and they're going to get it in this matchup versus San Jose State. So the only reason you'll get to 50 is because I think Arch is going to chunk it a lot more than he would normally against a rush defense this bad.
Hey, Bobby, let me add some suspense before we hear your score prediction here. But I look at that ULM game a year ago when Quinn got hurt. What did he start off passing? Was it 17 of 19, all within the first 25 minutes or so of that game? Mm-hmm. That is a lot of pass attempts early on against an inferior opponent. But that's all about getting in a rhythm, getting that offense going. That's the game plan I'm looking at today, whether it's hucking it deep or keeping those balls short and just seeing completions. Seeing one go through the hoop, Arch needs to see as many as possible early in this game. That's my mindset. And, Bobby, now I want to hear how big of a pick your score you got in this one.
I don't think I said my score. I got 52-0, though, so I'm going with CJ.
You're going 52-0?
52-0 shutout, baby.
That's going to make me look bad.
Wow, Rod. This is what's interesting to me. We've said everything we want to see. You guys have both gone with 7 touchdowns and 1 field goal. Do you have that much faith in red zone opportunities Is San Jose State that much of a?
Oh, it's good.
That means that Texas would be 7 of 8 on red zone against San Jose State.
I'm hoping there's some 40 and 50-yard bombs in there.
Okay,
Get
okay.
me out of the red zone.
Y'all get my point though,
Yes.
right? So wouldn't
Yes.
wouldn't something like, I don't know, 48-7 be more? I mean, 2 field goals, because Texas literally has had issues in the red zone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go 48-7, which is not off very far from CJ. It does extract a pound of flesh from San Jose State. I mean, that's a wipeout that blows the line up, right? Texas then plays over the line. I think that I'm going to go 48-7. I'm going to go 48-7, which is a little bit of an odd score, but I expect 2 field goals. Texas is a work in progress in offense. I do think that Sark's going to try to give Arch some easy passes this time. Let's get him and his feet and his mind working the right direction instead of trying to throw maybe too much on his plate too soon for a young starting quarterback. All right, Rod, again, this episode brought to you by our friend Ryan Bingham and Bingham's Bourbon.
That's right. Let me tell you about our friends at Bingham's Bourbon. For years, Ryan turned down offers to just put his name on a bottle. He instead insisted that he wanted a bourbon he could be proud of, one that stayed true to his Texas roots and where the music comes from. That's why he built Bingham's from the ground up, a Texas-certified whiskey made with 100% Texas-grown grains, distilled and aged in the searing Texas climate for a bold, unmistakable flavor from the hands of local Texas farmers to the barrel to the glass. Every drop is a tribute to the land, the craft, and the people who shape it. Bingham's Bourbon, proof that Texas makes a damn good bourbon. You can find out more details at binghamspirits.com, and now available all across the great state of Texas.
Good stuff there, Rod, and thank you again to Bingham's Bourbon. Thank you to CJ Vogel and Rod Babers, as well as our producer, Matt Hutchison. Guys, we'll be back tonight. CJ, you're going to be alongside Amanda Atwell as well as Jeff Howe for the live stream. Hope you guys enjoy it here on Texas Football, 3 days away from kickoff. Welcome.